Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And as you can probably gather from the picture on the thumbnail that I put up, my feelings are all about this time next week. I've got a week to go before I have oral surgery, where they're going to take out 4 more teeth. For those of you who don't know, background on this one, I got cancer a couple of years ago, and they ended up giving me a mastectomy. But what happened was the drug they gave me after that did a real number on my teeth. And I've already lost 2, and now I'm about to lose another 4. And you have to know that I don't have that many to be eating with anyway, so to lose another 4 is going to be a real big issue for me, as you're going to find out. But we'll talk about that a bit more in a second. Our quotes today are going to be about how to stay calm while you're anxious, because we all have that situation going on at some time or another. By the way, hi there, Jeannie. Hi, Jody, who's our admin. Jeannie is our backup. And then also I saw Charlotte, and now Louis. Hi, Louis. You're new to me, so welcome. And where are you from? And tell us a bit about yourself. All right, so for the rest of you, um, I wanted to let you know that, let me see here. We've been having some beautiful weather. What about you lot? It's just like we've been having spring weather. Now we know it's not going to last, but it's just beautiful at the moment. And I don't know about you, but I'm really loving what appears to be longer days. All right. I know it's just because we move the clocks, but it's so beautiful for it not to be dark at, so early in the evening. So if any of you've got a birthday this week, let me see who I've got here. I know I had some. Um, I'm going to have to check that elsewhere. Anyway, I will come back to you on that, or I'll do it on Sunday. Because I think we had Sharon's birthday this week. So happy birthday, Sharon. Yeah, Jeannie's saying in Maine it's rainy Monday morning. That's why Jeannie's just correcting that, going rainy Friday morning. Yeah, it's funny because I'm going, did I get the day wrong? Am I broadcasting on the wrong day? So it's been an interesting week. I've had a lot of things that I can check off. For those of you who don't know, I really am a great believer in doing things one step at a time. And I have got this oral surgery going on the 22nd. So just a heads up, I will mention it again on Sunday, but no broadcast starting next week. All right, until I tell you otherwise. And I don't know how long it's going to take me to recover well enough to be able to speak and to be able to deal with they're going to they've got to take this tooth here. And they're going to put in a false tooth for the meantime. I don't know how long that's going to take before for me to learn how to talk with that, how to keep it in, because it won't be clasped anywhere. It's just a temporary one. So it's going to be quite a challenge. So bear with me. I will go back to speaking and doing broadcasts as soon as I can, but it's going to be be a while. Yeah, Jody's saying about the Monday thing. She's saying, gee, I thought I slept through the weekend. Yeah, me too. Anyway, so first of all, in terms of one step at a time, I managed, on my, I said on my yearly goal for this year, because of the pandemic and getting cancer and all those sort of things, a lot of things fell between the cracks. And one of them was my oral hygiene, and I'm paying the price. When I say the hygiene, but getting checkups and stuff. The other was my glasses. Now the good news is I did get my new glasses or new lenses. I want to tell you, if ever These are my driving glasses. And what I love about them is you can probably see how light they are. Can you see that? There's really nothing to them. And I love them for that. The other thing is these frames, I didn't replace the frames. Why? These are titanium frames. Basically, I could run my Jeep over them and they go, oh, I feel a little bit bent. Would you straighten me up? And I'd be fine again. The lenses, not so much, but the frames, yes. You can probably see how light they are just by how that one is vibrating, right? Look at that. So there we go. All right, Jeannie's saying her daughter's crock pot was destroyed by a poor decision by her husband, and we're all worried about fire. I ordered her a new crock pot. I was livid because there could be a fire. I'm not sure what he did. Oh, Jody's saying that hers are similar. Lionel stepped on my glasses and they were able to fix them to brand new. Yeah, it was an investment the first time, but I've probably had these frames over 10 years. And just every time they just straighten them up a bit for me, right? But anyway, so I just wanted to say that's one of those things, I'm a great believer in buying middle of the road stuff, but every now and then it's worth buying the good stuff. And I would say, if you, what I love about these is, you can sleep in them, you can drop them on the floor and, stand on them. It's just like they were built for me. Of course, if you're not a klutz, then you can buy any frames, I guess. But if you're a klutz like I am, really good idea. Okay, so that's the first thing. But imagine how it felt to be able to go new glasses, question mark, every month, turns over and how am I doing on my goals? New glasses? Yes. So that is awesome. The next one, of course, was the dental question mark. Well, for those of you who've been following my story, that I did go for my dental checkup, and then I had lost 2 teeth very quickly after that. And then I was told these other 4 have to go. And then I'm going to need to have partial dentures, upper and lower. So there are 2 different things going on at the same time. Number one is I got to meet the oral surgeon. He's the guy that's going to be putting me under with an IV and removing those teeth. He tells me it'll take about an hour. And what a nice man. It's just like some people you meet and there's just you don't get the right vibe with them. This guy, he just totally had me at ease from the get-go, and so gentle. Everything he did when he looked in my mouth or felt it, my everything, just so incredibly gentle. There was nothing, let's get on to the next patient feeling about it. It was just an amazing experience. And the same with all his staff. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a really nice thing to feel, when this guy's going to be putting you under and your life's going to be on the line. Now, of course, the truth is that's probably got nothing to do with his dental ability. But I'm trusting that the referral I got was with good reason. By the way, I said to him, will they be putting in a butterfly? Because I have to remind them not to do it on my right-hand side. And he said, no butterfly. They're going to put a line in. Now, I got a feeling that some of you have been around long enough to maybe have done that. So instead of putting a needle in, they're putting a tube in. That sounds way more painful than a thin needle. So if any of you have had that done, speak to me so that I feel less anxious. Or do they put you out and then put it in? I don't know. I should have asked that question. But so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And Doug's going to take me, for those of you who know Doug, which is really kind of him to clear his schedule so that he can do that. And he will look after me for the first day or 2 until I'm feeling okay. okay to look after myself. Now, we all know that the third day after anything like that's going to be the worst, and that's probably the day that, I'll be home by then. But the reason for that is if ever you've had any surgery, um, two things. Number one, it takes a while for all the medication to leave your body. But secondly, you've got so much adrenaline pumping through because of the anxiety around a big operation of any sort. It takes a while for that to dissipate. And then you end up with what are you really feeling? So it'll be round about Sunday, Monday-ish. I'll know what I'm really feeling. And that is of next week, not this week. Now, the other thing I've got to do is, and I'm busy doing it at the moment, is, I'm be prepared, not scared, right? One of the things that concern me is that with four different, in all quadrants, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have a tooth out in all my quadrants, and obviously the big concern is about learning how to swallow properly again. And I'm thinking about that, because you don't want dry socket, right? And for those of you who don't know what dry socket is, that's where when you've had an extraction, the body will form a clot, a blood clot, to protect that hole. But if you suck, like through a straw or swoosh, if you use mouthwash, you can and swoosh. No, don't do that. None of those sort of things. So the other thing, being prepared and not scared. So first of all, I've got to learn how to take my medications differently, because I'm inclined to take them in a way, and when I thought about it, I'm inclined to suck in and swallow. So now I'm learning a different way, and I'm doing quite well. I've been doing it for a couple of days now, learning how to take my medications without sucking in. It's difficult to describe, but that's one thing I'm working on. The other thing is, I was thinking, obviously, for the first 48 hours or more, I'm going to be eating soft food. And, you automatically think baby food, but, it's not really, if you think about it. I gave a lot of thought to this. And so, obviously any cream soup would do, any soup will do, basically. But pureed soup rather than with chunks of meat or something in it. As long as it's pureed, I can have any sort of soup I want. And that means lots of different, options. I can have oatmeal or cream of wheat. I probably will pulverize some oatmeal and then make cream of wheat rather than pure oatmeal for those first few days. And obviously, I can put those in my smoothies and pureed, fruit as well. So what I've got to find out is, does Dougie have the ability to make smoothies, or do I need to take one of my smoothie makers? Yes, bone broth would be a good choice. Yeah. I'm not a big cottage cheese fan, but it's something I could have. Yes, cream of broccoli soup is one good choice. There you go, right? So lots of options on that. It's just like, I would think, what about mac and cheese, people? I was thinking about that. Could I eat mac and cheese? That's pretty soft, isn't it? Don't think it requires a lot of chewing. Maybe after 24 hours, I could try mac and cheese. Yeah. Mashed potatoes. Yeah, with gravy. Yum. I could quite happily live on that for a while. Obviously, coffee. And then more coffee. And then maybe coffee. So that'll keep me full. I was thinking crustless bread. In other words, just take the crust off bread so I don't have to chew it, with mashed banana on top. So cut the bread up, and just put mashed banana on top of it. And I was thinking I could do that. What about ice cream? Absolutely, Jeannie. They do say not to have too hot or too cold. So, but yes, I think ice cream would be wonderful, even if I had to let it warm up a little beforehand. But, I'm thinking, what about apple sauce with whipped cream on top? Or what do you call them? I got one here. Yeah. What about vanilla pudding with cream on top? Yeah, whipped cream on top. So, there are lots of things. And I'm hoping, I seem to remember the last time, I was pretty good after 48 hours. I was quite surprised how well I healed actually in that time. So I'm not too anxious about the eating thing. What I did, I cannot tell you how many forms you have to fill in to do. Yes, Jello is another one. Good idea. Yep. The number of questions you have to answer is quite amazing, and I've got to the stage where after I filled in reams and reams and reams and reams of answers to questions, I said, if you ask me any more, I'm going to start charging, because it was just like, this is ridiculous. Yes, Jody's saying, a smoothie with spinach. Well, I'm not a big spinach fan, but maybe cucumber, avocado and pineapple. Yes, so that's why I'm going to check with Dougie whether he has got a pulverizing machine that I can make smoothies with. And if not, I'll just take one of my magic bullets. I got 3, I think. But, well, I've definitely got 2 that work. And I think I've got a 3rd one in my craft room that I use for crafts. But, so I think I might take my smoothie. Not my big, I'm not going to take Nigel the Ninja, but I will take my little one that I use. By the way, I have to tell you something. My magic bullet, I use it every single day. What about you guys? It's not I'm thinking, what does it cost? $45 in Canada? That is not a waste of money. I use that thing every day at least once, probably 2 or 3 times. So anyway, so the good news is soft scrambled eggs. There you go. Great idea, Jeannie. And again, soft fried eggs, all right, on bread without the crust on it, right? It's possible. Good idea. Cheese omelet. Yeah, cheese omelet I could do, because that basically will baked beans. Probably after 48 hours, I could do baked beans, because they basically, you don't need to chew them. Anyway, so that's the first thing. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I like the people, and I like the environment. It's unbelievably beautiful offices, very upscale. Well, not surprising when you see what they charge, but it just all felt good. So, and luckily it was very easy to find. It's close to where I used to go and take my blood draws and stuff when I was on the other part of town. So easy to get to, easy parking, no charge. So that's fine. And, it's sort of, I've got to think about, Doug's got to drop me off and then come back and get me in an hour. And that's what they reckon. It'll take an hour. Now, the other thing I did this week was go and interview another denturist. That was a different story. And I just wondered how you guys would feel about this, and I get your input on this. I had gone about a week before and spoken to the receptionist and said, can you give me a ballpark figure of what basic dentures, partial dentures would cost? I'm going to be needing an upper and a lower. And she gave me a price. And I said, okay, fine. And then I said, well, then I would like to have a consult with your denturist to, so that he can have a look and then get, a firm price. But she had given it to me in writing, so I knew what she had told me. It wasn't that I remembered it; she had written it, so I got it in writing. When I went for the appointment, the basic one that I was quoted was $600 more than she had written down on that piece of paper. I don't know about you, that made me uncomfortable. So I'm going to ask the question. Could he explain to me why he quoted me $600 more than his receptionist did, when I'm pretty sure his receptionist gave me what I call the going rate. All right. 600. How could he justify that? That's a big jump. And that's not for the super strong, you can eat hard candy with them type stuff. This was just for the basic ones that will last 5 to 7 years, they reckon. Which is not very long, is it? Or you can buy the mid-size one, and I can't even remember what the price was for that. But you can imagine it was even more. And it was about $800 more than my other denturist had quoted me. So, I'm going to be seeing Yvonne tomorrow. Excitement. I always love those visits. And we're going to hash this out and see. My denturist is going to be retiring. And she thinks she's going to have time to do mine before she retires. But, it's like, that's a lot of different money. However, I will say that the ones that he was talking about are very, what's the word? Minimalistic is what I would say. Far less metal in your mouth than the ones that my other denturist was talking about. And I'm pretty sure that that's a lot more comfortable. So we'll see. Anyway, I've got some quotes here. And I thought you might like this. This first quote is, as long as you're breathing, there is more right with you than wrong with you, no matter what is wrong. Right? So the same thing, as long as I'm still talking, then, I'm doing well. And so although I have every right to be a little anxious, the question that really blew my mind, and I hadn't been asked it by anybody else, was, do I have a do not resuscitate order? Yeah, it was from my surgeon. And I had to think about that. I don't have one, but I had to think about that. And I'm going to talk to Yvonne a bit about that as well. It's just like, at what point do I want to put in a do not resuscitate? Yeah, Jeannie's saying I think they have to ask that. Yeah. But it was an interesting one. But it threw me. Just like, what? Bryant McGill said, your calm mind is the ultimate weapon against your challenges. So relax. I must tell you that I have, without a doubt, given myself permission to just stay relaxed. I am not freaking out about not doing enough steps. I'm not freaking out about anything other than just stay relaxed. All this is big stuff. It's not little stuff. It's big stuff. You're going to have a life-changing event. It'll be, oh, interesting. This new denturist said it takes up to a year for your bones and tissues to properly heal after an extraction like that. A year. And therefore, part of the reason I think that they are more expensive is they do 5 different consultations before they actually give you the dentures over a period of some months. They will you do the impression, then they will do uh, a rough fit, and then they will leave it another month, and then they'll see if the rough fit still fits, and if not, they will adjust it, and then they'll do, and so it goes on for 5 different. The teeth, the actual false teeth, go onto those frames at the very last minute, on the fifth, like the fifth visit is the actual teeth. Everything else is to do with the frame that's going to be in your mouth. So I realized that 5 different appointments means, that's probably where the difference is in money. Robert Chew said, trust yourself. You've survived a lot, and you'll survive what is ever coming. And that's what I have to say is, hey, but you and I both know this is not just going to be difficult for me to talk, difficult for me to eat. I'm going to be pretty swollen, I'm sure, for quite a while. This is all ready for Easter. And I probably won't have teeth until the summer, if I'm lucky. And then I'm going to have more teeth, and I'll know what to do with, because I will have back teeth, and I haven't had back teeth for a long time. I will have teeth on which I can chew. Quite exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. How about this quote? I want you to think about this if any of you are anxious about anything. C.H. Spurgeon said, our anxiety doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrows. It only empties today of its strengths. Think about that. All right, so I know that the more anxious I allow myself to be, the more I'm taking away from the joy of today. Hi, Kimmy. So I just want you to think about that, all right? I've always said that, if we spend our time looking backwards, what should have happened and could have happened, that's called depression, right? If we spend our time worrying ourselves sick about what's about to happen, that's anxiety. The only way to not have either of those is to live in the moment and thoroughly enjoy the moment. So, a couple of things. You all know that spring is sprung or about to, and therefore, I'm thinking plants. And if I'm thinking plants and seedlings and stuff, then I'm also thinking about nuts. For any of you who are people that like plants, have you ever had any problem with those little nuts that come with them? And what I did is I did a little bit of research into ways to get rid of them. The famous fly trap that we have, I've got lots of those. Oh, and let me just show you. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay. Very, very important thing. The very important thing is do not tidy up and change where you've been putting things for over a year. Now, I bought the things that you put inside a bottle, and you put, what do you call it? Apple cider vinegar at the bottom, yeah. So I bought a couple of those. And then I bought some of these. You basically peel this off and it's really sticky here. All right. So here's the interesting thing. I learned that you can make your own of these quite simply by taking some yellow paper. I happen to have yellow paper. And putting Vaseline on it. Did you know that? How's that for an easy trick? All right. And certainly, I mean, I didn't pay a whole lot for these, but certainly a lot cheaper than these if you've already got the paper. So, and if you haven't got yellow paper, paint it yellow. If you've got paint, you know, it's just they gnats and things are attracted to the color yellow. So I thought that was interesting, but a lot more things I found out. So did you know that they're actually fungus gnats, those little ones, all right? And they last about a week. Their lifespan is about a week. I didn't know that. But in that week, they lay 300 eggs. So you've got one that's, you know, a bit of a problem. But once those 300 hatch, and to extrapolate that out, those 300 are now going to produce another 300 each. So you can understand that it's very easy to get overwhelmed with them. Now, I've got a great gizmo in my house, which is an infrared light bulb thing. And it looks like an old-fashioned radiator. And I keep that in my house, and it gets rid of all sorts of things like flies if they get in the house, or mosquitoes if one gets in the house, or whatever. I don't have nearly the problem that I used to have with crawlies, because they get attracted to the ultraviolet light and then they're gone. So that's one thing. However, I want to stop the need for that as well, for a large extent. So one of the things they recommend is if you are bringing soil from the outside to the inside, right? It's not a bad idea that day before you do that, bring the soil in and pour boiling hot water over it. That will get rid of any, you know, possible larvae that are inside the soil. Does that make sense to everybody? I personally have done it where I just put it in the microwave for a minute. I reckon that'll kill anything that's in there. And then give it plenty of hours to have that soil cool down again before you put your flowers anywhere near it. The other thing is to, wherever possible, water from the bottom, not from the top, because what they like is the moisture at the top. All right. So if you're always feeding from the bottom rather than the top, that's a good thing. The other thing is, wherever possible, let the soil at the top dry out for the same reason. All right. Don't be in a hurry to water. And if you do, water it from the bottom. I hope that's making sense. They also said occasionally spray your plants with 3% hydrogen peroxide and water, a 5-to-1. That's 5 whatevers of water to 1 whatever of hydrogen peroxide. So if you're doing half a cup, do 5 half cups of water and then 1 of hydrogen peroxide. All right, and shake it up and then spray. That'll help the all those other little bugs as well. All right. The other thing is, have any of you heard of mosquito bits or bites? I think they're called. No, bits, mosquito bits. Have any of you heard of those? They're actually like little pellets that you can buy and put on the top of your soil, and it won't harm the adults, but it will harm the larvae. All right, the larvae will not be able to grow. So that's interesting. I hadn't heard about that. So I thought that we'd for those of you who are plant people, you might appreciate some of that information. So part of what I do is to entertain myself with these plants, and I don't get many that grow, but the ones that do. However, to give myself credit, look at that. Wish I knew what it was. I forgot. I forgot to label what it was. I think it's edible. The reason I think it's edible is because I don't think I would have sown that much of anything if it were not edible. All right, but doesn't that look good? And it's just done in its own little mini greenhouse. Okay, it was like that. One of my little lettuce things until it started to grow, and then there we go, looking good. Let's see how long it takes me to kill it or eat it. Yeah, Josie's saying, I can't even keep a basil plant alive for a full year. And here you are battling gnats, mosquitoes, and other creepy crawlies. Well, you know something, Jody, once you start this habit, it's going to continue. You know that. Because why? You paid how much for a basil plant, and how much would you spend during the year on basil? So there's no doubt it's worth it. I want to tell you, my first year, I couldn't get a single lettuce seedling to grow. Now I'm trying to get a seedling to grow into an actual lettuce. That's my next thing. Or I may break down this year and actually go buy lettuce plants. Because even then, no, it won't be cheaper. If I'm going to buy a lettuce plant, I might as well buy lettuce. No, they probably will last 2 or 3 cuttings. So, I'll see about that. Oh, I love this time of the year. Now, in case you didn't hear on the broadcast the previous week, I made a mistake. I told you, I think, yeah, I've used it up. I think I told you I found the ultimate alternate to cow's milk, and that was to buy something called Next Milk, as in next week. And then to my horror, when I happened to be looking at I was reordering it, and somehow or other the contents came up in front of me, and I went, it's got soy in it. Well, breast cancer survivors are not meant to eat soy. Duh. And I've been drinking that Next Milk for 3 months, I think. More, maybe. Jody's saying, you're right. We use a lot of basil, and I'm going to try rosemary or thyme too. Maybe one of them will survive. Yeah. And you've got to think about that. If you can keep the plant alive for a couple of months, it's a really good idea. The other thing is, if you are not using it fast enough, dry it. All right. I have, these are my dried chives, because I'm pretty good at growing those. And I can't find it quickly, Jody, but I bought sage, a bunch of sage, and then I dried it. Okay. Because I knew I wouldn't be using it all, so I just dried it. And it's, that makes it worthwhile, because if you buy a bunch, you're not going to use it in time. All right. Yes. Jeannie's saying she loves tarragon. She loves it on chicken or fish, right? And so this is like, if you're going to buy it and not buy the plant, buy a bunch, but then just use some, but dry the rest so you don't waste it. And how do I dry it? I just, you remember the old days? Some of you are old enough to remember those days when we used to dry flowers between two pieces of paper, like a phone book. I dry mine between two lots of paper towel, and I keep it above my air fryer. I've got a metal pan there that you can see maybe, and I just put that on top of the metal pan. And then in the course of a week, anything that's up there will dehydrate and keep its color. Works pretty well for me. I don't have to buy a dehydration machine, even though my air fryer dehydrates. It's got a program on it to dehydrate. Takes 8 hours. Why would I run electricity for 8 hours when I can just leave the stuff on top and just cook regularly with my, hang on. Anyway, one step at a time. For those of you who know the story about my laundry room, I got pictures for you. I told you that I had painted it, and that had been on my to-do list, one step at a time, for 4 years. Oops, wrong thing. But there was another thing that I had, then I look at the laundry room and go, what next? All right. And so the next thing I did was to save up. I've got it here somewhere. There you go. Yep. I know this is going to sound stupid, but there's a door in my laundry room. That's the door. And it has this film on it that's been there since the 80s, I would think. So I want to get that film off. Now, to get the film off and still have the privacy, I needed to put a curtain up there. And that's a metal door. So what I did was I bought 2 metal rod holders. I searched to see if they made such a thing, and they do. So, and then a rod to go with it, and just a net curtain. And so Ciora is going to help me by getting rid of that film. And then can you see the difference in light that's going to be in my laundry room? It's going to make quite a difference for the summer. So I'm really happy about that. And the other thing I did is my blinds are what they call honeycomb blinds. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? They're sort of like a waffle shape. If you look at them sideways on, they look like a honeycomb, right? And they let the light in, but obviously nobody can see in. But you also can't see out. So you have no idea what's going on outside. Did it snow last night? Is it windy? What's going on? And what I wanted was to be able to do that. Now, part of me thought I could put that film on there, and I still might do that. But in the meantime, while I was ordering the other curtain, I then, bought a curtain that I could put across there so I can see what's happening outside, but still have that privacy. So 2 more things off my list. Very happy about that. And you know me, it's just like, what's next? And I find that when you just do one step at a time, you are constantly having moments of gratification. All right. Oh, I just found the birthdays. No, those are the other ones. Okay, I'll find them. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was Yvonne coming tomorrow. Yvonne's going to come tomorrow, and we're going to be doing another measurement. You know that after the mastectomy, I had to do these 5 measurements on my arms every month. And then it was every, they basically said, just do it occasionally. So what Yvonne and I decided was that we do those measurements once a season. So she's coming to do that measurement. We haven't done one this year, so that's going to be good to do. And I'm pretty certain my arms will be fatter because I put on weight. Still don't know why I'm doing that, but I did manage to lose a bit from how far I'd come up, but I'm still overweight versus when we last did the measurement. So yeah, it is what it is, right? The other thing is, I will get to discuss this whole thing about the price of the dentures and everything. And yeah, we'll get there. Just I've got the finance of it, ready and all that sort of stuff. So, what a business! This quarter has been so expensive, just amazing. But it is what it is. The other thing I wanted to talk to you, how many of you remember that last year I was having a lot of problems with moisture in my closet? And I was using lots of different, you know, dries the air and all sorts of things to try and absorb the moisture because my clothes were smelling musty. I've managed to solve that problem in the most simple possible way. I don't put my clothes into that closet until they've hung in my bathroom for 24 hours. That's all. And I don't have extra heat in there. There is some heat in there, but it's not just normal heat. So when I bring my clothes out of the wash, what I do is I just hang them on my shower rail for 24 hours. And that has totally stopped the problem with that musty smell in my clothes over the winter. Thought I'd share that in case any of you have that problem. So easy, right? Just had to work it out. And I keep smelling the clothes, expecting them to smell musty because they've been in there for a while. But if they've been in there and they were perfectly dry, it doesn't happen. It's when they're not quite dry. You think they're dry because they came out of the dryer, but they're not perfectly dry. You're just kidding yourself. Now, the other thing is this. Do you know anybody that has circulation problems and gets cold feet? I had the biggest problem with my feet getting so cold, even in the summer, funny enough. And it is just like I've solved the problem. I bought a good pair of flannel sheets, and I have had the toastiest feet. I have not, touch wood, I have not once had cold feet since I bought those sheets. Now, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do in the summer. I might put my regular sheets back on and just see. I wait until I get way too hot, and then I will do that. But I may choose just to use the flannel sheets anyway. I don't know. I'll see. But I want to tell you, if you know anybody who's got that problem, encourage them to get flannel sheets, even if they don't like them, because I cannot believe that I have not had cold feet once, and we've had a pretty wicked winter. Jody's saying, I was just looking at flannel sheets. They're on a great sale. I want to tell you, if I do not think that was a waste of money. And, quite often I can just literally have that one sheet over me, even without my duvet. And it's still winter, for goodness sake. It's just, they're just so comfortable and so cozy is the word I'd have to use. So I'm sharing that in case any of you. The other thing is, some of you will know that my furnace went out a couple of years ago and I didn't replace it. Okay, so, Jody's saying many stores have them on clearance now because we're going into spring. If you can don't buy cheap ones. Don't buy the cheap ones from Wally's Mart. All right, buy good ones. If you can get them from Land's End or somewhere, you know what I mean, somewhere that will have pre-shrunk, good quality. Yeah. On sale. That's where I would do them. The other thing I've noticed, Jody, as cold as my house can get, all right, Those fleece jammies that I bought, um, um, boy, when I wear those, I don't even notice the temperature. And Jody convinced me to buy myself a pair of shearling slippers. These things. So, and Jody, I don't know what you do, but I do two things with them. About once a week, I put them in the dryer while I'm drying stuff. Why? Because the steam will sanitize them. And because I've worn them all season, I did actually wash them recently. I put them in the wash. They were fine, just so that you know. And these were the cheap ones, right? So, but I reckoned they've kept my feet so beautifully warm all winter. So made real game changer for me. How about this one? Mark Twain said, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Most of which never happened. So, I keep thinking about that DNR, do not resuscitate order. The chances that they will need to make that decision are probably slim. But then you think about Joan Rivers, right? She probably thought the same thing as well. So you understand, it's just like, be aware. It's a risk. There is a risk. Oh, going back to my bedroom, I was going to tell you that, I didn't replace the furnace, and I have heated my house all winter with my gas fireplace in my north end of the house. And it keeps that third of the house beautifully toasty. And it even keeps the middle section of the house okay. All right. In other words, if it's minus 15 outside, then you do need some supplementary heat. But on regular days, no, it's warm enough. However, the coldest part of my house is the back third, because that's the south third. And what I have, two things. I have a small ceramic heater in my bathroom that keeps the temperature at a certain temperature. All right, so it's thermostatically controlled. It only kicks in if the temperature drops to a certain thing. The other thing I have is in my bedroom, I have an oil-fired heater, also thermostatically controlled. You got that? So they both only work if the temperature drops. And I don't have to think about it because they're thermostatically controlled. Some of you know, actually, I bought those little plug-in heaters this year. All right. They just plug into the socket. And I wasn't sure if they would work, but they are so clever these days. They're thermostatically controlled. Again, they'll only kick in if the temperature drops below a certain thing. So I've been amazed how well I've done in cost effectiveness, if you like, without using my furnace. Where do I spend most of my time? I spend most of my time at the front end of the house, except when I sleep, which is in the coldest part of the house. So what I did is I tried another experiment just out of interest, is what if I put my thermostatically controlled heater on a time switch, like a timer. And so now what I have is, regardless of the temperature, during the day, that thing will not turn on, even if the temperature drops. All right. Some of the heat from the house will do this thing. However, a few hours before I'm, about 9 o'clock at night, or 8 o'clock at night, I think it kicks in. All right. And then it stays on to keep my bedroom at a certain temperature all night. And then it cuts out again, after I get up. That has saved me quite a lot of electricity. It surprised me. And I think some of you know that my electricity company has a, a, a promotion on at the moment, two promotions. Number one, every now and then it says, can you reduce your usage between these hours? And each time they do it, if you reduce your usage by 20%, they pay you $5. Okay. Now, how do you do that? You just go in the house and you turn off all your lights, unplug anything that is easy to unplug, right? Don't make a big deal of it, but just unplug, whatever you can, and then go and watch television for 3 hours. Okay. Oh, be aware that it's coming, so cook your dinner ahead of time, and then just binge watch for 3 hours. I have done at least 7 of them, so I'm going to get quite a credit. And there's another one tonight. So I've already cooked tonight's dinner, and I'm just going to warm it up. About 4:30, I'll warm it up, and I'll eat it early. I'll eat it at 5 because this thing starts at 5 o'clock. So just before 5 o'clock, everything is going to get shut down, and I'm going to curl up with my blankie in front of the fireplace and binge watch, all right, and earn myself money. Now, they've got another thing that they're doing, which is there's another promotion that if you can reduce your usage over the course of a year by 10%, they'll give you $100 back. Now, I was already way ahead of where I should be because it was the time when the furnace thing took. So I'm using far more electricity than I was when the furnace was there. Not a major amount of money, but in terms of usage, right? So I knew that was happening. So I started this promotion where I was, I think, 38% over the previous year. Now, the trick is, could I bring it down enough and then get it down to minus 10%? You'll be pleased to know that we're in winter, and I'm only 1% above at the moment. That's how much I brought the usage down by doing smart things in my house, and not being cold, but doing smart things in my house. Now, the other thing is to be more aware in the summer. So this year, I will set my air conditioner on higher. It'll only kick in at a higher thing, like when the house gets to 80, for example. I think I had it at 75 this year, but now I'm going to set it up to 80. So in other words, it's going to kick in, but it's going to kick in at a different time. And I'm seriously wondering, I'm probably going to use I've got a couple of those small Arctic ones. Have any of you got those small ones? What I call the personalized air conditioners. The reason I say that is I am amazed at the difference they can make. I have one in my bedroom. I used to have a big fan in my bedroom, but because we get so many power failures here, and it's very hard on fans, they burn out very quickly when you have power failures. So what I did was I got a little, Arctic thing, whatever they call it, and I have that in my bedroom. And I'm amazed how a few ice cubes in that just before I go to bed, or as I go to bed, I put in some ice cubes and run that thing. It works like a goodness, it's because it's just going over my body. You don't need to cool the whole house. You just need you to be cooler. Does that make sense? All right. And the same thing, the situational heat and situational cool can save you a lot of money. So what I've got is a baby one that I also use here in the kitchen for when I'm doing broadcasts or when I'm cooking. All right. Because this kitchen gets to 90 degrees, if you can believe it. It's the hottest room in the house. Why? I've got a skylight, got a big greenhouse window, and plus I've got a huge bay window, 3-part bay window over here in the dining room. So this gets a lot of heat. My question was, would the house be cooler if I put my air conditioner in my dining room so that it cooled my kitchen as well, rather than in my living room, and then just use a small ceramic thing in my living room. I'm still not sure about that. I'm trying to think. I think I spend more time in the living room than I do in the kitchen. So therefore, that's the room I want coolest, right? So there we go, all thinking one season ahead. And really a great time, Jody, a great time to buy winter clothes. All right. I was saying to Jody that if you want to buy really good quality clothes at a really amazing price, then buy at the end of the season from a well-known thing like Land's End. I want to tell you, I bought corduroy pants from them probably because I don't know anything that's nicer to wear in the winter than corduroy pants. They're so warm. Anyway, my cords, I must have bought them nearly 30 years ago. I'm still wearing them. Right? Am I wearing them now? Yeah. Huh. Here we go. Still wearing them. These are cords. And you know, I have them in blue, in black, in tan, you know. Just hello. Yes, Jody's saying their clothes wear like iron. It's amazing. You want to tell you if you can buy, I think I paid $10 for them, Jody. $10 from 30 years ago. Never go out of style, right? They're just classic styling, and all you do is change the top. You got a whole new outfit. So yeah, great idea. I want to tell you, everybody keeps saying, why don't you get new? I know you've had those for years. I go, why would I? They still look good. They look as good as new. And you know, just because I've had them for 30 years doesn't make them bad. All right. So yeah, it's just like I like my cords. And the other thing is, um, yes, LL Bean is the same. Yes, sadly, I actually gave away this year. I gave away my LL Bean raincoat. I quite agree, Jeannie. You know, if you are in the Maine area or whatever, both of them have online shopping, and they both make extremely high quality. You know, these. I'm pretty sure. Hang on, gotta have a look now. Yep. The cords have French seams. For those of you who don't know what that is, a French seam is a normal seam is you have these two together, right? And then let me see if I can do this. It's not very straight, but you run your sewing machine along there. Agreed? That's a regular seam. A French seam, they turn it inside out. They do a run down there, turn the clothing inside out again, and then run another line. And so you can't see it, but the seam is completely encased. So it has no wear. It lasts forever. Your jeans, if you've got jeans, they have French seams. You can't see the ragged part of jeans, all right? Because they're, yeah. So have a look at your jeans. That's a French seam inside a pair of jeans. So, really good idea. All right, people. So just a reminder, in case you're not here again on Sunday, you're going to see me put up that I'm not doing any broadcasts for the time being. All right. That'll be starting next Friday. I will probably do a test one after a week to see if I can do it. Can I talk with my flipper tooth in or not? I don't know. I'll try it. If I feel that I can try it, then I will. Or it might take 2 weeks. I don't know. But I'll let you know so that you do. Franklin Roosevelt said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So you understand that if I choose to spend my life in fear about what could happen, the what if monster, do any of you fall trapped to the what if monster? And I really want to tell you, I have learned the way to deal with it. So as soon as my mind says yes, but what if, I go, yeah, but what if I don't? Yeah, but what if, and I go, and I listen to my inner child and the what ifs, because 9 times out of 10, my inner child is trying to protect me in some way. So I see the what ifs as a risk management thing. Have I looked at that? Right? What if I didn't make it through that surgery? What needs, the only one person that's involved in this, really, in fact two, one would be Doug and one would be Yvonne. Do they know where my will is? Do they know what to do? Yeah. Yeah. So, it's like, and so to me, this is like, I've got that covered. All right. So it's way off left field and unlikely, but I'm certain Joan Rivers thought that too. So it's not impossible. Do you understand? So one is the risk management of it. The other is, now that I've got the risk management covered, then I don't have to be concerned about it. It is what it is. And the good news is I won't know about it. And that was the thing that struck me about the do not resuscitate. I was thinking about the fact, I was thinking about that, right? In a way, and forgive me, I don't mean this to be ghoulish in any way, but in a way I was thinking it wouldn't be a bad way to go because you wouldn't know that you'd gone. Does that make sense to anybody? So yeah, there's something to be said for it. And I I don't know, perhaps I've just got a weird sense of humor. It's possible. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I will see you again, hopefully on Sunday, and then I will see you whenever I can after that. Fair enough. I'll do my best. You know that. I probably will do is keep in touch via. How many of you enjoy the little bits I put up on Facebook and X, otherwise known as Twitter? Um, do you like those little things I put up on there? Do you want me to do more of that or not? I mean, I've always tried to, when I see something that touches my soul, I go, well, if it touches me, it probably will touch you guys as well. So I will keep those going, and maybe some, more verbal, not verbal, but text updates rather than spoken ones and live ones. So that's what I plan to do. All right, everybody, have a super week or weekend, and we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks, Jody, and thanks for everything. And don't sweat the small stuff. Enjoy today. You know what I'm going to do this afternoon? I haven't done it for such a long time. I'm going to Confetti Corner this afternoon. Well, I'm going to check who's playing tennis first. Oh, by the way, are any of you people who watch the tennis? I just got to mention this before I go. Do you know that my favorite player was on the court? They just started playing. That's Carlos Alcaraz. And he started playing, and a swarm of bees, a whole swarm, came into the center court and started to attack him. And they stung him. And you imagine that. I mean, what's fun for a swarm of bees inside a tennis stadium? They all congregated round one camera. The queen must have gone into that camera. And the next hour and a half was spent with the local beekeeper guy, great personality, vacuuming up a whole swarm of bees. And he became quite the star of the show. He got a standing ovation a couple of times. He got to shake hands with Carlos. They gave him lots of publicity. It was really like an entertainment break, because he was that sort of a guy. He looked like he should have been in Ozzy Osbourne's band in the 70s. You know what I mean? He had the long hair and that sort of build. It was just like you thought he would have looked quite comfortable with a bass guitar, strung around his body. He just like he was just so. But what a personality! All the crowds were shaking hands with him, which was delaying everything. But everybody wanted to thank him for what he did, and he was loving every moment. He had his 15 minutes of fame. And I'm certain his business got over I would think, multi-millions worth of advertising out of it. It was just like, what fun. It really was fun. And the good news was, after an hour and a half, they did go back. There were still a couple of bees around the stadium. But what they said was they would land, but they wouldn't sting. Now that the queen was gone, they wouldn't be in defense mode anymore. I found that interesting. Tell that to Carlos, who you saw swipe one. After he'd been bitten once, I don't think he was keen to be bitten a second time. But the good news is he went on to win, so I was a happy camper. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, I'm going to check who's playing tennis, and then I'm off to Confetti Corner to go play. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody. And Jeannie.